Well, hi everybody. This is Harlan Kilstein with another presentation of Dogington University from the Dogington Post and the Caddington Post as well. The information that we're going to hear tonight is going to be applicable to all of our fur kids. There are a lot of things that you need to know, and fortunately, we have a really great expert with us tonight who's going to help us out and also be able to answer your questions. Our program tonight is sponsored by our friends at Halo. For over 25 years, Halo, Purely for Pets, has created wholesome, holistic pet foods of uncompromising quality. Halo believes nutrition is the single most important factor in quality of a pet's life. Now, one of the things about Halo is their incredible commitment to shelter pets. In partnership with freekibble.com, they donate over 1.5 million meals a year. And Ellen DeGeneres, who was a long time had health problems until she started feeding the dog spot stew, and then she became a believer and she became a part owner afterwards. When the United States Postal Service made a shelter stamp, Halo donated 1 million meals. Halo does so many incredible things. I don't know if you've ever seen the Olate dogs. I saw them up close, and cutest thing. They're sponsors, and they do many, many more things. You can find Halo at Petco, Sprouts, PetSmart, Canada, and many other pet specialty and natural food stores. I just came from Whole Foods, and you can get the line of Halo products right there. Now, we invite you to pay attention to this webinar, because as we go through this webinar, you have a chance to win a case of Halo food. You can specify whether you want it for your cat or for your dog. And not only will the person who answers a question be the winner, but they will also give a case of food to a shelter that you name. So here's my word of caution. Having had people who we've done these webinars before, and we have some of the brightest and fastest typers in the world attending our webinars. So I'll give you notice when I'm going to ask that question, but when I do, you have seconds to type it in, because the first person who types it in is the winner. And we've had people type in answers before we'd even asked the question, because they were sure of what it was going to be. So this is intense competition. Everyone wants to win. Now, everybody's fur kit is going to be a winner based on the information you hear tonight, because we have a really special guest. Our guest is Tracie Hotchner. She is an award-winning author and a radio host. She's written both the Dog Bible, Things Your Dog Wants to Know, and the Cat Bible, Things Your Cat Expects You to Know. Now she is a host of the Radio Pet Lady Network, and she's got several shows, including Dog Talk and Cat Chat. I'm curious as to why it's not Dog Bark and Cat Chat, but maybe we'll find out from Tracie. She's given talks on pet nutrition to veterinary schools around the country, including UC Davis, Virginia Tech, Tufts. She's also a weekly contributor to the Halo Pets website. Now, today we're going to be focusing on the many dangers of our cats and dogs that they can encounter over the holidays, some of which can surprise you. Now, I want to let you know, if this is your first webinar, over on the right-hand side of the screen, you should be able to, where it says questions, you should be able to type in a question. I want to give everybody a chance to win, not people who've been on before. So go ahead and just in the question box, type in your name and where you're from, just to give everybody a chance. Go ahead and type it in. Look over on the right-hand side. You should see something that says questions, and you can type it in questions. Okay, we've got Anaheim, California. We've got Marietta, Georgia. We've got Rhode Island. Bradley Beach, New Jersey. Oklahoma City. And I guess the rest are very, very shy, or they're still looking for the right side of their screen. Either one, we are about to get started, and we're going to change the presenter right now. And ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Tracie Hotchner. So Tracie, you should see something now that says show my screen.
It does, Harlan.
And it's over to you.
Goody. Well, it is great to be here, and I love that there's so many different places that you guys are listening from. It reminds me of the days when I was on Sirius XM on the Martha Stewart channel with Cat Chat, and about 50% of the people called in with dog questions because I made that legal. So it's really fun to know.
Go ahead and share your screen with us.
Show my screen. I think I just have to go like that. When ready, click it. How about that? Does that work? Did that happen? Audience view 100%.
There we go. There
yes?
we go.
Awesome, because Brooke did this beautiful PowerPoint. I don't want you guys to think I'm this creative. I'm creative with my mouth and my words, but not with images. So this is the most adorable PowerPoint. I can take absolutely no credit for how cute it looks, but the information on it is certainly information that I am 100% behind. So we're going to scroll along with it, and I'm not going to be like that boring 6th grade history teacher who, why is this not going to the next screen? There we go. Who just reads it to you because you all probably read English quite well on your own. So I'm just going to fill in the in-between, the interstitial part of the words that are on here. You guys may or may not know the Dog Bible and the Cat Bible, and I hope you've had a chance to hear some of my shows on the Radio Pet Lady Network. One of them is co-hosted with the most wonderful woman around, Dr. Donna Spector, who you know if you're a Halo follower, is their official vet and is a blogger for them. And I even snuck a look at some of her earlier blogs about holiday pet dangers, and she had some that I missed. So I'm gonna slide those in as we get to the next page. Okay, here's all these people in the vet clinic. Their dogs don't really look that sick, but I know it was like some actors, right? That is not what a sick dog. Those two labs look about as healthy as can be. The people don't look so great. So it is true that if you encounter any of the problems that we're going to go through tonight, you may very well, not only might you wind up at the ER, you should go there. Because if your dog or cat takes a sip of your eggnog or your holiday punch, attracted to the sweetness of it, alcohol can kill a dog. We're going to get to that, or a kitty. Actually kill it, just a very small amount. So there's an awful lot of things that we think, well, this is jolly and fun, and not so jolly and fun for our animals. Decorations are a really big problem, and it's because they're so attractive. We like them because they're glittery and colorful and charming and nostalgic, and the kitties and puppies, particularly the younger ones, are fascinated. That might as well be a dog or a cat toy. So one thing, the dog in that picture has pulled the tree over, and he's right, the Christmas tree did faint. It's very easy to pull a Christmas tree over. Anyone with a human child, like the two-legged kind, they put a baby gate around their tree if they have a toddler, because a toddler reaches out for something, grabs the branch, and the tree falls over on the kid or wrecks all the ornaments. The same thing can happen with a dog or cat. And of course, then you have broken decorations, or perhaps it injures the pet coming down, not to mention the fact that you've spent all this time decorating it. So it needs to be in a really sturdy stand, not those little chintzy, feeble little aluminum ones, but something really solid that's sort of heavy for you to lift. The bigger the tree, the heavier the stand needs to be. And then you have to actually secure that tree to the wall. It sounds, oh, come on, is it really that important? It really is. So you just take wire of some kind. It doesn't have to be, or even it can be fishing line, and wrap it around the tree high up and in the middle, And then you can even put just a small nail or tack into the wall, or attach it to, let's say, a curtain rod or something, to make sure that if they do get to the tree, that it doesn't come over on them. And therefore, the things that are on the tree shouldn't be uber attractive to them or dangerous for them. That would mean no actual glass ornaments, because they shatter. And I know we've all had that. The old-fashioned ones that we all grew up with, or maybe people have gotten some antique ones, they fall, they break, and they shatter into tons of little pieces. Obviously, not a very pet-friendly moment at that point. Dr. Donna, in her good advice, mentioned something I hadn't thought of. No food on the trees. I used to put candy canes on all the time, and gingerbread in various ways. And you know how people string popcorn? Don't do any of that, because all of that makes the tree irresistible, not just to puppies, but to larger dogs, maybe not so much to kitties. They're more attracted to things that shine and glitter. And that would go for tinsel or angel hair. I didn't mention angel hair on here. I forgot that. Think of it as so old-fashioned, but in fact, a lot of people still use it. And I think it's made of spun glass or something. It is not something you want your dog or cat to ingest. And tinsel, if ingested by a cat, is a huge medical emergency. I don't know if you know this about cats, and anything made of string, any long string-like, whether it's a piece of thread, a piece of wrapping, ribbon, or tinsel, once it goes down, although our cats seem to throw up hairballs from time to time, they can't actually vomit up something they've swallowed that is now bothering them. So it goes down through their digestive tract and needs to be removed surgically. So I don't think that's something you really want to face over the holidays. Just don't use tinsel or angel hair. And don't spray the fake snow on the tree either. It's full of chemicals. And if the cat or dog does get their mouth or their paws on the tree, you don't want them to be sucking that down either. So I think we've gotten everything that's on here. Oh, yes, the water in the tree. The water that's in the dish in the tree, and you have to keep some water in there to sort of keep it somewhat alive for the 10 days, 2 weeks you've got it up. That water winds up full of chemicals because the tree's been sprayed with chemicals, various things that can leach out of the tree into the water. And dogs, you know how they only want the really gross puddle. You put out the lovely water, they want the icky, gross water with algae in the middle of summer. Same thing with the tree water. So some sort of a child-proof barrier around the tree. It may not be your idea of the most attractive, but either a couple of dog gates or a child or puppy pen so that they can't get at it. So this page is all about glittery. So the more glittery it is, the more it's attractive, particularly to kitty cats. You know, those of you that use laser pointers, which is not my favorite toy because it just frustrates cats, anything that shines is fascinating to them. Gifts under the tree. So I used to think it was hilarious when my golden retriever, Roma, would open the gifts. But she would open them, being a golden retriever, when you asked her to. And from the time she was about 8 months old, she would open each gift for you when you gave it to her. And it was so much fun. She'd rip off the paper, and she'd rip off the string or the ribbon, and then she'd, growl and grab at the box. Well, some dogs might think that was fun before they were asked to do it under adult supervision. And not only do they wind up ingesting maybe some decoration that's on the outside of the box, but what if someone gave you cookies or candies, chocolate in particular? All that sugar would be really bad. Chocolate, the better the quality chocolate, the more dangerous it is. So anyone gives you Swiss or German or Italian type of chocolate, very dangerous. Like you have a small dog, you have to go to the ER. And, fruit cakes. God forbid. Does anyone really give you a fruitcake? How rude. Does anyone like fruitcakes? They're sort of like a doorstop. But they're full of things like raisins, raisins being on the top of the no-no list of foods for dogs in general. Chocolates, onions, raisins. So you don't want them to get at all the sugary or toxic ingredients that can be in a lot of food-type things that might be underneath your tree. And xylitol, which is fake sugar, not all fake sugar, not all equal and sweet and low and so forth, is xylitol, but a lot of people want sugar-free candies or gum. They think that's maybe better for them than having a mouthful of sugar, or even for their kids. A very small amount of those ingredients is really bad for dogs and cats, life-threatening even in a small amount. Poisonous plants, people seem to know about poinsettias. They know, I hope, about Easter lilies, but there are lilies that also are sold and grown at Christmas time. But mistletoe and holly, well, mistletoe is usually hung up right in a doorway, and you're supposed to grab the next good person that comes along and kiss them. But it's the berries, I believe, on the mistletoe that are extremely toxic. So you think you're only putting it up and it's high up, and how does the cat or dog get up there? But if some of those berries fall off, or someone's goofing around underneath the kissing mistletoe and some of it falls down, the first thing the cat or dog wants to do is chase those little berries. So just kiss someone because you want to kiss them, not because you've hung up mistletoe. Holiday stress, this little chocolate lab puppy. He's having a hard time. Safe zone for your pets. I personally can really relate to this. It's a lot of activity. Even before you have family come to stay, God forbid, or guests come over for the cocktail party or your office party that might be held at your house, just the getting ready for it is intense for your pets. You know, they're a sponge for our emotions. So we're stressed. We think, oh, we're just excited, but usually it's stress. Oh my God, I forgot the extra cheese ball, or the crackers are the wrong kind, or oh, I forgot to vacuum. We're very stressed around the holidays. We're rushing to do cards and wrap things and buy things, and oh my God, we can't really afford it, but we have to buy these extra 10 presents. And the animals pick that up. So they're kind of in a heightened stress state anyway. One thing I really like, by the way, is the Adaptol collars or the Feel Away spray for the kitties. This is a really good time of year to put on those collars or put the diffusers in the wall. It's kind of a mellowing agent. It's a pheromone that the dog and cat's brain pick up this scent. It's not really an odor to us, but it has a very calming effect. It's holistic. And that's something you might want to consider doing like right now before the actual onslaught of all the people and the food and the sights and the sounds. And the front door. You know, even though it in the Northeast it's cold, so we do rush to close our doors. In other parts of the country, you have the door open and you don't realize this is the cat's moment to think, finally I can get out of this place. Because some kitties really want to be outdoor kitties and shouldn't be. So any size animal, either they're going to be too stressed by all that's going on in the house, or they just love the idea of freedom. It was really a good idea to either not have them have access to the door when people are coming and going, if it's a real cocktail-y kind of party. I also really recommend, and in the dog Bible and the cat Bible, I talk about it, a room where you say on the door, do not enter, seriously. You could say sick pet if you think someone's going to be such a dope that they're going to go in anyway. The dogs and cats are often really grateful to have a room that is off limits to the humans. They'll just chill in there. You know, put the TV on for them low or a radio, give them their bed, a treat or a chew if you want. You're actually doing them a really big favor. Too many humans is overwhelming to dogs and cats, even the most friendly ones. Holiday foods, oh my God, there's a turkey the same size as the Chihuahua. Turkey fat, wow, that is heavy-duty greasy and not something to give our dogs. It can lead to pancreatitis. Any very fatty, a huge amount of very fatty foods at once, and turkey skin is particularly bad. Gravy is particularly bad. There's butter in it as well as its own turkey fat. Is really something to avoid. So don't do it. And cooked bones, I hope you know this by now. You know, you give the bones that are already either shank bones that you can buy at the market that are what we call marrow bones, or get ones that are, I get buffalo bones, hard as a rock buffalo bones, because there's no such thing as a factory-raised buffalo, to my knowledge. And that's what I give my dogs to gnaw on when I want them to gnaw on something. But no bones that you've cooked. Nothing from the standing rib roast, the ham, the turkey, the chicken, no bones. Onions and garlic are toxic to dogs and cats. I can't imagine that you'd be giving them your dip mix, but people do use those dried onions for the old standby for dips, and that's something you don't want at nose level. Beer. Dogs love beer. Listen, there's some dogs that will put their tongue in a martini or a cosmopolitan. Alcohol is really, really toxic to them. And there are people who think, oh, it might be funny to see how the dog acts if he gets a little tipsy. It's so not funny. You belong right in that ER if that should happen to you. So please don't even indulge in that idea. Walnuts and macadamia nuts. Now, those are two. Who's going to feed macadamias to their dog? Well, because they're so expensive. But you know, some people have them for their fancy birds, their parrots. Dr. Harvey sells a bird mix full of macadamias and walnuts and Brazil nuts. So if those are ever in your house, don't let the dogs near them. And certainly at holiday time, if you get that high quality nut mix, don't let the dogs near it. Nutmeg is interesting. I mean, I actually didn't know this myself. This is something that Brooke from Dogington let me know about. Poisonous. I know a lot of people who would avoid any food with nutmeg in it, but that's not really the point. People do cook with it. They make sweets with it, sweet potatoes. So sweet potatoes and pumpkin are great treats, but not when they're seasoned up with nutmeg. Chocolate. Again, most of the products that are sold commercially in America, cake mixes, and even things made that already come made, honestly, sadly, they're chocolate flavored. So while it's not good for your pets to eat them, just too much fat, too much carbs, too much sugar, they actually don't contain any cacao or cocoa at all. Whereas high quality baker's chocolate and any kind of a high quality dark or darker bars of chocolate or Godiva type things, Dove type things, really bad. Doesn't take much to get that wrong. Oh yes, a safe turkey dinner from Halo. Absolutely. I actually cooked one of those when I was on a little tour for Petco as the natural food spokesperson down in San Diego, and some wonderful Martha Stewart kind of person had put out all chopped and raw, all the ingredients that are in spot stew, and I just cooked them up in a big vat, and chopped up lovely turkey was in there, and so many other good things. You know, splurging on a can of spot stew, believe me, your dog will be thrilled, and the kitties will be thrilled as well with the pate. Cold weather. Well, for those of you, you know, in Anaheim, are you laughing yet? But you know what? Most dogs adore the snow. So I know you think it's funny that we have to deal with all this, but in fact, a lot of dogs adore it. Nonetheless, there's all kinds of things that happen in the cold weather, and I don't think you want to let that mountain lion inside no matter what. That one's got to fend for himself in that picture. But there, in urban areas, people put down salt so that the sidewalks won't be slippery, and then that runs off even into the street portion. That salt will burn your dog's paw pads. So your choice is get a dog to be willing to wear booties. Many will accept it. Even my big dogs, my Weimaraners, there's some rough wear ones for like hunting dogs, and a lot of the sled dogs and the Iditarod actually wear boots. So it's not just for little frou-frou dogs, but many dogs won't accept it. Even if you get the booties on, you still have to wipe off those with either a very warm, fairly wet washcloth, or dunk them in some warm water when you come inside to get off any residual salt. Same thing with snow or ice. If you have St. Bernard or, I don't know, a Gordon Setter, any kind of a dog or an American Shelter dog that has lots of hair between their paws, ice balls can build up in there and be very uncomfortable, very painful. There's also something called Musher's Secret, which is a very greasy kind of a Vaseline-y kind of thing. You put some in your palm and wipe it across the bottom of your pet's paw pads before you go outside, and it creates a protective barrier for their paws when they're, even if you don't have salt, even against the cold and the ice. So
we actually sit here in Florida in the very hot weather, when the dogs go outside on the pavement and it's 100 degrees, it can burn their paw pads.
Oh yeah. In fact, if you put your palm down on the ground, Harlan, which is something that I always tell people to do, if it burns your palm, that's how burning it is to your pet's paws. People don't understand. Their paws are not, it's not like the sole of a shoe. When you're younger as a dog or a cat, it's really tender. It toughens up a little with age. But yeah, you can totally burn it, and you can get an ice burn. Just like people get frostbite, dogs can get frostbite. So not to leave them out a long time, like children who stay in a pool too long or outside playing with the snow too long, and the parents say, come in, I can see your lips are blue and you're chattering. Our dogs don't always shiver when they're really cold. In fact, if your dog gets to shivering, your dog is in a medical emergency. You can solve it yourself. You don't have to go right to the ER. But my sister's little Brussels Griffon, she had both of them out without a coat on one day. We were running in the woods with Crazy Maisie, the blue Weimaraner, and the littlest one started to shiver. And my sister had to put her inside her parka and zip it up. If a pet's shivering, a pet's at the beginning of hypothermia. and it can become a medical emergency. If there's any shivering, you should never have been out that long or without covering or in that weather with that dog. So shivering is not a healthy thing. When a dog gets to shivering, you're in trouble. So you want to bring them in and warm them up slowly, not radically. Don't like stick them in front of a blowing hot fan. But the Dog Bible has, some emergency tips in there about that. And indoors. So you got the heaters on indoors, but you still have to be careful because the animals maybe really are, in fact, really attracted to the heat, but it needs to be heat that they're protected from and it's safe. Questions. Wow, we're at the questions part. I sure hope we have some questions because here we are at the questions. Uncooked dough. That was one other thing, sorry, that Dr. Donna Spector had on her list, which I didn't think of because I'm not a baker much. And when I bake, I don't rise bread or anything. But uncooked dough, whether it's pizza dough, actually a lot of people make pizza at home now. Uncooked pizza dough or uncooked dough to make the various kinds of breads and cakes that involve rising dough is something you need to protect your dog and cat from all year round, but particularly at the holidays when you might be doing more of that kind of cooking. So that is the big picture of things to worry about, not to make everyone neurotic, but it is sort of interesting that there's a whole lot of danger, and it's for real danger. It's not, just to make you paranoid. There really are medical problems that can result from it, and they're all avoidable. You can still have just as much fun as you want to, do all of your fun holiday stuff, but you have to sort of see it from the dog or kitty's POV. They're down low. Look around. If you need to, get down on all fours and look around. Have a look at the decorations, the whole ambiance of your house. You suddenly put out, Christmassy kind of cookies out on a counter just for anyone who comes by. Well, your cat's going to find that's pretty easy to get to, and any large dog is going to find their way up there too. So everything needs to be out of reach. This dog is having a very good time with these cookies, which fortunately are shaped like dog bones. So maybe they're, although with the red dye, I don't think they're actually for dogs because we don't want to put fake colors in our dogs, which is another nice thing about Halo. No fake colors, no chemicals, no preservatives, just the real deal. So I'd send it over to you, Harlan, because you're the guy in charge of the questions, right? Hello, Harlan. I'd love to see what the questions are, but
sorry, I'm sorry, I muted myself because my little friend here, four-legged friend Kalba, she knows when I'm on a webinar, and she knows that when I'm on a webinar, I'm kind of unable to move. So she'll always come over and do something like drop her bone repeatedly, or or come over with the balls, or she starts lining up all of the toys for me to play with her.
I think she might very well be a cousin of Maisie who does exactly that. The collection of toys surrounds me. Yeah, when I'm on the radio, it's quite amazing. It's like a toy store. Most of them look pretty chewed up and lousy. So I wonder if there are any questions, or if you have a question.
Indeed we do, and you are all welcome to type in questions, whether they are dog questions, cat questions. Type them in. We'll start with Tamara, who says, from what I understand, bitter apple spray does not work unless you first spray that stuff directly in their mouths, something I would never do or recommend in an attempt to make it aversive enough. I can tell you that I used bitter apple when Kalba was going through her chewing on everything phase. I wouldn't think of spraying anything into her mouth. Anywhere I sprayed it, she left alone, and her chewing phase lasted all like a day.
Well, you were lucky, Harlan, because there's another suggestion which almost has a cruel tinge to it, which is dogs that don't mind bitter apple, which is many dogs. And by the way, it was originally designed for horses, which is why the word apple's involved, so they wouldn't chew on their stall doors and their stall wall and the fencing. Most of them couldn't care less. They chew anyway, the horses. And a lot of dogs, it doesn't bother them at all. some of them seem to embrace the weird flavor. And I, at one point, was told I had a Rottweiler who'd been thrown away in the street as a puppy. Turned out he had no hip sockets. The greatest guy, Yogi Bear. And he was such a chewer of carpet, the edges of carpets, just destroying them. So someone said, put hot sauce on it. I thought, man, that's really mean. I mean, he's going to get a mouthful of that and just be horrified. You know, that dog loved hot sauce. He couldn't wait to chew what hot sauce was on. So the answer to you, Tamara, is if there's something you don't want them to chew, and this is really true year-round, you have to make it inaccessible. The easiest way to solve problems is to prevent them. So, for example, if there's cords for the various lights, you do the same thing you do with the cords that are in your office. You buy some of that tubing that you buy at a Staples or a Home Depot that has a slit down the side, and it's like a PVC pipe, if you will, and it fits over all the cords. So now the cords are not accessible. And in terms of the tree itself, you certainly wouldn't spray the whole tree with bitter apple. If you find by spraying bitter apple on something, your dog tastes it and goes, ew, and then recoils, well, then you could spray for that dog at his eye level. But if there's something super tempting, it's not, he doesn't know yet that it's got bitter apple on it. So if you have a lovely ham on the sideboard, well, you can't spray bitter apple on that. But if you have something on the sideboard that looks appealing, he's going to put it in his mouth before he discovers there's bitter apple on it. So I think that the best solution to a problem is to not let the problem happen by preventing it with being proactive and being quicker and smarter than they are.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, any more questions? What do you do if it's a table leg?
That's a very good question, and I have a couple of table legs that look like they have been worked on by many canine teeth. You know, again, it depends on the age of the pet. I now have this 18-month-old blue Weimaraner. She has as much desire to chew as a 4-month-old teething puppy. It's not like it went away. In some cases, they grow out of it. I mean, eventually she's going to grow out of it, right? I mean, maybe not till her teeth fall out when she's 14 or something. With good dental care, they're not going to fall out at all. I would go with the same idea. I would wrap those legs in something preventatively in the meantime, so that, because the wood is really satisfying. So I would wrap them, cover them in some material of some kind that is unappealing, even if it is something kind of like a harder plastic that you could wrap around it and then tape. But the great solution is to have so many good things around the house for the dog to chew on that are legal, like even a real stick. It makes a mess, but it's a lot easier to clean up the stick mess than how you're going to refinish your table leg. I also, as I said, these buffalo bones, just because the dog is huge. If you don't have a huge dog, you can use other bones that have been either sterilized for dogs or baked and, you know, all grown in the USA and prepared in the USA. If you have a really hard chewing dog that just needs to chew all the time, that has been the case with me and several of the dogs that I've gotten. So by offering them the toys that your dog is bringing over, Harlan, are probably in something like a toy basket. And these dogs that really want to play and really want to chew, they will go to their basket and sort through it and go, oh, I haven't tried this one for a while. And you can add stuff. You can rotate it. Like, let's say you have 12 toys in there. Take out half and rotate a couple a day. Take away 2, put 2 new ones down there. The women from Avidog, who are the dog trainers on my show, Good Dogs, who are just marvelous, and they're golden retriever breeders and competitors. They do a lot of agility training with people on Long Island. They say that every room in their house, and they have several Goldens always living with them, every room has bones in it. It's just, you know, when you come into a room and you're a dog, you have all this extra energy. Maybe it's happiness, maybe it's a little anxiety. And if the go-to thing is there to chew on that's satisfying, you're going to pick that instead of the chair leg. So I think that that is a really good solution. And at holiday time, give them an extra bone. I mean, so much better than what's on the tree.
All right, let's go from dogs to cats. Andrea says her cat loves to chew on plastic. Any idea why?
Yes, she's a plastic chewing cat. I know that sounds goofy. There are cats who chew on plastic. It makes them so happy. Some of them will chew on plastic bags. Not so good because they can ingest some of it. What it's it's sometimes called pica, P-I-C-A, just the kind of OCD, obsessive chewing of one or more items. My golden retriever from years ago, she used to chew on rocks. It was terrible. She'd find rocks, not huge, just like almost just the right size to chew on your back teeth and accidentally swallow, and crack your teeth or swallow it down and choke yourself to death. So I always had to be hyper vigilant about rocks. In the case of this kitty, the plastic chewing, you obviously can't remove all plastic from your house, but Maisie loves softer plastic, loves it. Will take like the dish underneath a plant. If it's a kind of softer plastic, she will try and pull it out from under the plant. Harder plastic, not interesting. Like luckily she doesn't want to eat the computer printer or the computer hard thing. So if you find that cat loves a certain kind of plastic, things made with a certain texture, you got to get it out of the cat's environment. And if you don't have a cat tree, make sure you have one. Jackson Galaxy and Kate from housepanther.com just wrote a fantastic book called Catification, and it's got these wonderful ideas, all do it yourself, of ways to create really amusing, interesting spaces in your house for your cat. Things for them to do, places for them to look out, ways for them to hide and leap. And I think one of the problems with our cats is they're bored to tears. We don't really do very much to enrich their environment. We don't play with them much. And sometimes they're chewing plastic out of boredom. Sometimes they're just looking for something to do. And whatever you can add into their environment that enriches it and enhances it and sort of speaks to their natural catness, which is to climb, to go up, to hunt with their eyes. Get some really cool little toys, catnip-based little toys, maybe made of some real fur, and periodically throw them across the room, surprise the cat. Hide. You can hide the Halo Live a Little, the freeze-dried chicken, beef, salmon. Hide it behind pieces of furniture, and they'll just come upon it as a great surprise one day, which will make them want to hunt more in general. And it can't go bad because they're already freeze-dried. So I think for the cats, it's to not put in their environment things that that they're attracted to that aren't good for them, but then give them a replacement is really important.
Okay. We have a question here actually from one of our own. Brandy at the Dogington Post wants to know the name of the collar that you mentioned.
That's a good question, Brandy. I'm glad you asked. To me, the Adaptil collar, it's A-D-A-P-T-I-L. And anyone whose vet doesn't have it, they're supposed to be sold only by vets. The company that makes the pheromone spray and diffusers, Feel Away and Adaptil, also known when sold in like a pet store as DAP, dog appeasing pheromone, but it's all made by a French pharmaceutical company. It's a synthetic version of in the case of kitties, it's a synthetic version of the cheek gland hormones that they rub on people and on things that they want to mark as their own in a positive way. And that's what's in the Feel Away diffuser that goes in the wall and for 30 days puts it into the air, or you can spray things with it. And they now have wipes. For the doggies, there is an Adaptil diffuser, and it plugs in the wall. So if your dog with big separation anxiety, well, medium, big separation anxiety, you need to do a lot of behavior modification. You plug it in the wall, and wherever that dog is, it gives them a sense of well-being. It's actually a synthetic version of the smell of his mother's milk, believe it or not, the lactating hormone from his mama. And that is, of course, a very happy time in his life. He looks back to those happy days, before he was removed from his mother and all of his siblings and had to go live in the only two-legged world. The collar is fantastic. It's imbued with the way old-fashioned flea collars used to be that I myself and many vets don't believe people should use. They're quite toxic. But it's that kind of soft, rubbery material. And you put it on the dog's neck quite snugly so it makes contact with their skin. If you have a very thick furred dog, you actually might want to cut a little channel for it. And the dog wears it nonstop for 30 days. And his body heat or her body heat emits the pheromones right into where he was going to perceive them, which is in a part in the brain that's like behind the forehead. And when I adopted Maisie and had to make a 13-hour drive home, the day I met her in the parking lot of the Mid-Atlantic Wine Rescue, I got that collar on her, and she had that collar on her, and then when it wore out 30 days later, I put on another. And I think anyone who adopts a dog of any age, regardless of how great you think the life is you're giving them, change is really hard on pets. I think more people should use adaptable collars. They make dogs more trainable. If you have a very excitable dog, has a hard time focusing, and that dog wears an adaptable collar, they don't come off. It stays on. So it's constantly giving the dog this sense of like chilled well-being. The dogs can focus better. They train better even if you're doing competitive sports. And certainly at the holidays when there's just way too much going on. And I don't know about you, but I have one dog that, likes a couple of people and could leave all the rest, and she feels the same way about most dogs too. So that's a dog who at the holidays would really benefit from an adaptable collar. And the minute you put it on and it senses the body heat of the dog, it starts emitting the pheromones. So it's spelled ADAPTIL, and vets sell it. It's supposed to be only sold by vets, but the internet being what it is, people have probably, got them up there too. But it'd be nice to ask your own vet, do you have adaptable collars? If they don't have them, it helps to educate your own vet to know that there's a product out there that can make life a whole lot better for dogs. Vet visits, whatever thing it is that might stress your dog out, those collars are wonderful. And Brandy, if you let me know after the webinar how big your dog is, I will send you one for Christmas. How does that sound? I'll put it in the mail tomorrow.
Olive thanks you.
Olive,
okay.
How big is Olive?
Type it in, Brandy. How big is Olive?
Weight-wise.
Or you can message me, either one.
We're going to find this information before the end of the webinar, and I'll be going down to my local post office.
65 pounds.
Perfect. All right then. It's going in the mail to you tomorrow. You're going to be happy because Olive's going to be happier.
There you go. Generally, when Olive is happy, Brandy's happy. Okay.
Nice.
And she says
the other thing I actually have some of for listeners to my show, Cat Chat, and some of my other shows, are the feel-away diffusers. So if anyone listening has a kitty, they're really magnificent. You plug it in the wall where the cat spends most of the time, and they really, really help cats deal with the stress of modern life. So you can either tell Harlan now in your messaging box or write to me at radiopetlady@gmail.com, and that way you can give me your mailing address, and I will send you a feel-away diffuser while I'm going down to the post office to send Olive her adaptable collar. I think all pets need all the help they can to get through the holidays just like we do, but they can't have a nice glass of eggnog, so we might as well give them some pheromones.
Okay, do they make collars for publishers of dog and cat websites?
That is a great idea, and I've often said about the anxiety wrap, more humans need one than you can imagine. Yes, I think it's called a Sakatini when you have it as a website organizer. Yes, I think that's either on the rocks or straight up. Yep, either way.
Yes, those sound absolutely fantastic. Okay, let's get to our next question. This one is from Cindy. Cindy says, speaking of bones, be very careful with the large marrow type bones in the butcher section. They can get stuck around the jaw of a larger dog. Then she has.
She's right, Cindy. I've seen the picture of that. I've seen the picture of that happening. It's when one was cut really small. Myself, honestly, I never use them because that marrow is way too rich and fatty, way too rich. So the dog is licking all that out. It's like pure cholesterol, straight to the usually the liver. So I actually don't recommend them, but people seem to be drawn to them. It's certainly better than a cooked steak bone. But you're right. When people cut them, you need to get one a good size that looks, like a bit like a young dinosaur, because you don't want it to be the dog to be able to get it between the two sides of his mouth. It should be bigger than the two sides of its mouth, as big as a good-sized stick, let's say. That's a very good point.
Okay. Now Cindy says her cat Mocha constantly pulls out the plastic bags from the trash.
Well, that's so simple. How about a lid on your trash? You know, this is one of the things that it's so frustrating for people. They live with an animal that is making some very normal, everyday part of their life really aggravating or causing themselves danger. Get a lidded trash bin. Put it inside a pantry or a broom closet and close the door. I mean, nothing's going to stop that cat for looking for something it's found before that was satisfying. In fact, it makes it very appealing. It's going on the hunt for the plastic bag since it can't find any mice in your house. So you just have to make it inaccessible. That's just the best rule of thumb, is eliminate the accessibility to the thing that you know is not good for the pet.
Okay. So let's see. Any more questions here? No more questions. Your last chance to type them in before we move over to our question, our quiz, to see who's been paying attention. And I can tell this is a sharp group. So go ahead and let's see who's the fastest. Let's see. Any more questions before we go ahead? Tamara says she had a dog get a slab fracture from bones and antlers, and one dog had a piece of stick stuck in his upper molars. Ouch.
Life is dangerous.
Okay, so let's go ahead and let's go to our question. Now, at this point, whoever asks a question is going to win a bag of Halo for your dog or cat. It says bag of Halo, but if you want liquid, we can certainly arrange liquid. And by the way, if you want to give your dog Halo, we have a special deal with Halo. And you see it down at the bottom of the page. It's halopets.com/Cattington. And because of our special friendship there, it's now possible for you to get incredibly cheap prices on there. So go ahead at halopets.com/Cattington. Now, I'm going to ask the question, and whoever types it in, it wins the Halo, and you'll specify dog or cat. And what you do, whoever is the winner, send us your address to info@dogingtonpost.com, info@dogingtonpost.com, and we will go ahead and get it over to Halo. And also let us know the name of the shelter that you'd like them to make the donation to. So let's get ready, and here we go. Get your fingers on the keyboard. This goes way back to the beginning. See if you were paying attention. What is the spice? What is the spice that is absolutely a no-no for dogs? What is the spice that is, I'll even make it easier, it's in pumpkin pie, that's poisonous for dogs, and we already have a winner. And it's Brenda. Brenda is our winner. Brenda, amazing. That was really fast. I barely finished, and away you went. Brenda, congratulations on your win. And all of you, congratulations on being here. Tracie, thank you so much for joining us. For those of you who may have joined us late, and I know that was a number of you and want to catch the beginning, we will post the replay online for you guys. And at this point, on behalf of our friends at Halo, on behalf of the Dogington Post, the Cattington Post, we want to wish all of you a very happy holiday season, a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and spend some time on your time off. Spend it with your pet. Okay? So Brenda, go ahead, and you know what to do. Just send an email to info@dogingtonpost.com, and we'll get that over to Brooke, who will run it through Halo, and you will all be taken care of. Okay? info@dogingtonpost.com. And congratulations. Everybody, have a great night, and go give your fur baby a hug for me. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks, Tracie.
Thank you, Harlan.